People ask me all the time, okay, Jill, the market is changing. What do I do? Do I buy? Do I sell? What's going on? And I know with this shifting market, it can be really unsettling because people do. They just want to hang on to something, have something concrete to hang on to so they can make a really good decision. And I really respect that and understand that. So what I'm going to do is in today's video, like I do with most of my market update videos, is we're really going to look at these statistics and we're going to hyper focus on Sarasota and Manatee County. We're not looking at the whole state or nationally because that's not going to really help you if this is the area you're interested in. So we're going to look at those statistics and kind of look to the past to help us with the future. And hopefully this will be something a little bit more concrete so you can have a bit more peace of mind as you need to make decisions. Hi, I'm Jill Thomas and I'm a real estate agent in the Sarasota area. And each week I bring new videos to help you out about real estate and then of course just living in Florida. So in this video, I'm using a program called Sun Stats. And if you've seen some of my other market update videos, it's the same system. But what I really like is I can go back however many years I want to go back. Historically, with my other videos, I've gone back as far as like 10 years. In today's video, I'm going to go back about 4 years because as I was looking at the numbers, I think that that is really going to help you have a clear picture of where the market is now and compared to where it's been. And I think that will definitely give some clarity and hopefully some peace of mind. So let's get started. Let's look at these statistics. Okay, here we are. As I mentioned in my intro, I'm using this program called Sun Stats, and this is an interactive chart. I'm going back to January of 2018. When I was prepping for this, like a week ago, last week, I was hoping that this would be updated. It's only up to October 2022. I was hoping November would be in there already, but apparently it's not. So that's okay. I think that it will still tell enough of a story, so I'm not super worried about that. So let's jump in. So our first area we're going to talk about is active inventory. And like I said before, this is for both Sarasota and Manatee Counties. So it says Northport, Sarasota, Bradenton, but it includes Lakewood Ranch and Parish and all that. And oh wait, I got single family homes. I want to do all property types. So you're seeing how this all works. Here we go. There we go. Very good. So it's all property types, meaning single family home, condo, townhouse, the whole 9 yards. All right, very good. So as we look to active inventory, as we can see, boy, it had gone down really low, the last couple of years. Here's a low point in February of 2022, just shy of 1,400. But now we're back up to closer to 4,700 new properties or properties on the market at that time. And so that's not too bad. But let's now go back to January 2018. And at this time, this was still a good market. Nobody was complaining about this too much. I would say the inventory was maybe a little low, and we'll look at that when we hit the months of inventory, but over 8,000, close to 9,000. So we're still really, really low on the number of properties on the market. So what does this mean to you practically? Well, first, sellers. The inventory is still really low. So for those of you who feel like you really missed out, like, oh man, I should have listed my property almost a year ago, that would have been better. Yeah, I mean, obviously look at how low this is. Things were really crazy, but the reality of it is you have not missed out. This is exceptional. This is once in a lifetime kind of thing, maybe twice, but I would say probably once. So, but look how low this inventory still is. I mean, this is crazy low yet compared to 4 years ago. So you have not missed out, sellers. Don't worry about that. Like, don't lose sleep over that. Things are still in your favor in that regards. And then for buyers, even though, like I just told the sellers, usually it's the opposite. What's good for the buyers is bad for the sellers, or the other way around. With this, it's still in your favor because look, it's just so much more. I mean, it was painful. People would come down and they would almost get upset with me. Jill, you're not showing me stuff. You're not showing me stuff. I'm like, guys, this is all we've got. This is it. And so I think that there's just more opportunity for buyers. So if you do come down, it's certainly not a waste of a trip besides just seeing our beaches and our beautiful area. So keep that in mind, that's, not a terrible thing now. So that's an advantage to you as buyers. And we're going to talk about that more with each category that we discuss. Okay, so our next category is going to be months supply of inventory. And over here on the far left, you're going to see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And what these numbers represent is how many months of inventory we have on the market at that time. So what that means is months of inventory is if no new properties came on the market, how long would it take for all inventory to dry up and there would be nothing else left for you to buy? Now, the way we kind of analyze this is if it's around 6 months of inventory, we call that a balanced buyer and seller market. If it's less than 6, it's a seller's market because that means there's not a lot out there. If it's more than 6, we call it a buyer's market. Now, really, that 6-month mark is a little gray. It's a little fuzzy. Even if you say anywhere from 5 to 7 months, that's a balance. Then less than 5 is a seller's market. So think about it like that. So now let's look at our chart here. So currently, well, in October, month supply of inventory, 2.3 months. But let's look at our lowest time here, 0.6. 0.6, 0.6. So really we're talking 2 weeks of inventory. If nobody else listed their homes, there would be nothing left for people to buy in 2 or 3 weeks. That's crazy, right? So here's 2.3. So all the way back here in June of 2018, we've got 4.7. So that was close to a balanced market. Here's 4.9. We're getting closer, but still the inventory has been low and it's been favoring the sellers. So just like we talked about before about active inventory, the analysis is pretty similar. Sellers, you haven't missed out. Inventory is still really low, so it keeps your property competitive. But buyers, the good news is it's swinging more in your favor. So you do have some more options. And I think that's great. You have a chance to sleep on something if you see a property, or most of the time you do. Things like that. So that's what that means. So the months of inventory. All right, our next category is new listings. So this is when we have the most number of properties hitting the market. Now, if you're watching any of my other videos, I did a short video segment at the end of December about when's the best time to list your property. And then I referenced me making this video. So now I'm going to reference back in this video to the other video I made, the short one. And actually I'm wearing the same outfit because I already recorded it. I just recorded it before this one. So anyway, so let's take a look at this. So let's look at these peaks, right? Because those really stand out. January 2019, over 3,000. Let's see what this one is. January 2018, just over 3,000. January 2020. Okay, we see a theme, right? Oh, this is March. January 2021 was a little lower. This is what during our crazy times here. And so January, February, and March, as I said in that other little short video I made, is when we see the most number of properties come on the market. So here's January, February, March, right? And then it ducks down here in April of 2020. Again, the COVID effect kind of threw things off a bit, but you'll still see, here's March. Like we discussed that already. Here's March 2022, December. So those are the most popular times for people to list their properties. January, February, March timeframe. Now let's look at the lowest. Here's December, a couple times in the fall. Here's July, June, December, April. Oh, but that was COVID. Yeah, that was when it all just tanked. December again, September. Of course, we're in December right now when I'm recording this. So January, February, March are the most popular times for people to list their properties. But as I said in that other video, what happens is we have a lot more people who are down here looking. So we have our snowbirds, and of course people want to get out of the snow, but they're not all serious buyers. So my takeaway with all of this is list when you're ready to sell. That's really the bottom line with that, because there are people here who are looking, and we'll see those numbers too as we look at pending and things like that. So here are our new listings. All right, new pending sales, as I just mentioned, as we were looking at peak January, February, March to list. Now let's look to see when things go under contract. It's more March. It's not necessarily February. Here again, March. It's not necessarily January, February. Here's February right there. Oh, but that was then COVID hit. So that's why that plummeted. March again. January, February, really strong in 2021. Let's hop up this way. Again, January, February, March. But look how much lower it is right here compared to over here. Isn't that crazy? Same time frame, same time of the year. And then September. So let's look at our lowest times. December, April right here. Oh, again, that's COVID. My apologies. So let's see. March, April, strong. It just kind of comes down a bit. Fall during December, and then it pops right back up. February, as we talked about. Okay, that was COVID. Here's June, July. It's almost flat right here. Almost flat. And then we peaked. And again, this is, it's relatively flat. It's between 2,000, 2,200, almost 2,300, 2,400. So even though this does go up and down, There's sections where it's relatively flat. So my story is always just list when you're ready to list the house. We'll get it sold. So don't let that, freak you out. But I always just find this so interesting. I like talking about this stuff. So those are our new pending sales. All right, our next category is median time to contract. So this is how long does it take for the house to go under contract, not to close, but just to have an executed contract where we're moving forward to the closing date. And on the left-hand side here, it's the number of days. So historically, we're talking 40, 50, 60 days, right? Like normal stuff. And then, COVID, 62 days. That was our peak here a bit. And then, boop, it, plummeted. So 6 days, 7 days, 6 days. And in reality, the time seemed even shorter than that. It's like, I feel like that doesn't even feel accurate. But often people would list a property like on a Thursday or Friday and say, okay, we're not going to take offers till Monday. So that drug it out a little bit. And then if it took maybe extra time to negotiate something, then that's where that came in. So let's look to see though what it's like now. That's what we want to see. So 19 days, 22 days. I'm experiencing with sellers that because this went on for so long, these just handful of days, that if a house is on the market now for 2 or 3 weeks, it feels strange, right? This became the new norm, selling really fast. So sellers, just be patient. Having a house on the market for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks is normal. In fact, that's still below normal compared to here, 60 days, that's 8 weeks, right? So a few weeks is still very normal. Don't panic. And then for buyers, well, man, what a lovely thought that you just don't have to see a house, kind of like it, and then put some extreme offer in. So that's good news for buyers. And then for sellers, it's going to be okay. All right, so far, so good. So that's our median time to contract. Okay, my friend, now we're at closed sales. So when did these properties actually close? Now, if you recall, peak times for pending property is like March, and low time was December. So as you can imagine, 30 to 60 days after either one, there should be either an extreme high or an extreme low. So let's take a look here. So January low, 1454 in comparison to the rest of the chart, because not so many people go under contract in November and December, but then it just pops right back up. So now here we are, April, May, really strong, right? Because more people went under contract in March, and then it comes back down again a bit. And then we're going to pop back up. So this is still, now we're into 2019 though, and we're talking COVID. But all of a sudden now look, 2019's up. No, 2019 was not COVID. My apologies. All right, so we're still good there. And then pops back up in December because apparently a bunch of people went under contract in the fall of 2019. And then here's COVID now, right? So we had a strong, relatively strong for March, but then that's when things shut down. So we got low in May, but then immediately went right back up. That's really strong. Let's find another July. See, so here's July of 2019, 2024, July of 2020, 2479, July of, 2018, just under 2000. All right. Okay. So March 2021, super high, 3426. And then it comes down, up. January of 2022, 1832, but still that's a high for January. And then in May of 2022, 2561. And we've gone down, but look, we're still bouncing around a bit. This is not like just a straight downward trajectory. We're going up and down a little bit here. So that's why I'm saying sellers, don't lose faith. Buyers, it's still a seller's market, but much more comfortable place for you. So that's nice. But definitely it's got the more of a normal market feel. So I can appreciate that. Okay, now the next category we're looking at is median sale price. So what are these properties selling for in our area? And this is a median sale price. So if you see these numbers, please don't think that you're going to get property on the water for, $500,000. That's just average, right? Well, median's different than average. But nonetheless, you're not going to get a screaming deal on something that's fabulous, that's in a great location. Okay, so let's look at these numbers now. So back January of 2018, 260. Let's hit our peaks here, 268. Pretty flat, look at that all the way through. And then it stayed flat here, January of 2020. Then COVID hit, March 2020. And then all of a sudden, up it goes. October of 2020, median sale price, 320. There's another little mini peak. July of 2021, 380. We're going up. June of 2022, 475. And then look, it came down and then it popped back up. So 485 in October. So this is the one number I'm really curious to see what the November number is when it's all said and done, just to see if it comes down in this range, if it comes down any lower, or if it's just more flat. But this was the one I was really interested in kind of seeing what November's like. But anyway, so you're going to see just how the numbers just went right up. Sellers, what does this mean to you? Again, I feel like there's some sellers out there that feel like they've missed out. But we're still strong, guys. Even if this didn't go up, even if this went down a little bit in October, or if November is a little bit lower, let's compare it to something over this way. February of 2022, okay, the median sale price is 420. That's still way better than what it was back here prior to COVID, okay? So again, sellers, you have not missed out. What the difference is, it might take a little bit more time to get there. You're not gonna probably see multiple offers. The buyers are going to be a little bit more particular, and they're worried about things like roofs and the condition of the home a bit. So you might be on the hook a little bit for some repairs, but it's still so much better than for you to sell today than if you did 3 years ago. Because 3 years ago, the buyer still would have been asking for those things. So it's still a good time for you guys to sell. So don't be shy about that. And then buyers. Yes, you are paying more money than you were 3 or 4 years ago, but at least there's some things that are working to your advantage. Now, I think this is the key thing as well with this category is this median sale price. And that's why I was so anxious to see what the November number is, because I was with some precious folks yesterday. So hi, Richard and Kate, and they, were just saying, we're just thinking the numbers are just going to really go down. They might. I don't know if they are. If they go down, I don't have a crystal ball to see how far down they're going to go. I just don't see us tanking and going back down to a median sale price of, $300,000, which would take us to, let's see, summer of July of 2020. I just don't see that happening, but I could be wrong. So that's why I don't want to claim I know it all. I want to give you some information, give you some numbers, things to look at, put it in perspective, and then you decide what you'd like to do. All right. That's all, I think that's the best way to tackle this. So here we are at median sale price. Okay, here we are. Percentage of our cash sales as percentage of closed sales. So what's the percentage of cash sales that we have here? And I apologize. This is category number 8. We're actually going to do 9. Usually up front, I tell you how many we're going to do. So I'm sorry for that. So after this one, there's just one more left. So what percentage of our sales are cash? Let's look at this because this peak right here stands out pretty strong. April of 2022. This is 55.6% of our sales are cash. Now, if we were just to look at certain subcategories or sub-markets, single family home versus condos, different counties, different areas within the counties, those numbers are going to fluctuate. So this is all of it tied together. So here, over half of our deals are cash. In April, 45. But let's go back a little bit farther. Even here back in February of 2018, 50%. So we have a very strong cash market. September of 2019, it got down to 35.8. But then here's where this is the COVID freak out right here, the COVID effect. March 2020, we had 42.5 and then got down as low as 32.4 and then it popped right back up. So here's what I'd like to say about cash buyers. Sellers, don't sit around and just wait for a cash buyer. There's a good likelihood it could happen, but don't pass up a strong finance buyer just because you think the cash is king and that's the best way to go. And then for buyers, hey, we're talking 50% of the people are doing cash. So if you're financing, don't be scared. You can still be very competitive. And then also sometimes cash buyers get pretty bold or ambitious and they think, well, I'm cash, so I can maybe name your terms a little bit differently. Yeah, a little bit, but you're not a rare animal in this market. So it's not like a market in another market where, on a good day, 32% of the buyers are cash. That's low for us. So we're talking, that's 1 out of 3 people. So you're not a rare animal. So yeah, sometimes sellers, let's say a house, let's just use the number $500,000. Let's say the house is listed for $500 and we have a finance buyer that comes in right at $500 and a cash buyer that comes in at, $495 or $496. Sometimes that seller is going to take the cash buyer over the finance buyer But that's kind of where you're going to get it at, is you might be able to edge out somebody who's financing, by a few $1,000s, but it's not like you can come in at 480, 475 and think that, you're going to be able to call the shots. So just tread lightly with that. Just don't be too ambitious with it, because we do have a lot of cash buyers. You're not alone, but we got some strong finance people too. And there's a lot of people out there that finance that could pay cash. So that, makes them a really great buyer as well. All right, this I always think is really interesting too, is this median percent of original list price. Sometimes people are like, what does that mean? So, how much lower are these homes selling for in comparison to the list price? So what percentage of that is going on? So for instance, let's use our $500,000 price. If a home is listed at $500,000, if the list to sale price ratio is 90%, that means you're taking 10% off. So it's selling for $450,000. Now, when I first got into real estate back in 2008, seeing numbers around 80, 85%, 88% was pretty normal. And then it kept going higher and higher and higher. And as you can see, for a long time, it's been really strong. It's been almost over 95% for a long time. So over here to the side, the lowest mark is 94%. The highest is 101%. So as you can see, back in 2018, it's 95 and a half. We're hovering around that 95 mark, 94.7 at the low end, still 95 and a half, 94.7 again. So really strong. And then it just went all the way up to 100% in April of 2021. And here it was even more than 100% in April of 2022. And now it's coming down a bit, 98, 96.7, 96.5. But you can see it's not coming down straight anymore. It's a slight leveling off. And again, it'll be interesting to see what the November number looks like for that. So what does this mean for a buyer and a seller? So for sellers, you still need to be priced competitively, closer to market value. Now, what is market value today? That's kind of a moving number, because as we looked at the median sale price, the number's bouncing around a little bit. So it might be a little bit harder to find that sweet spot. Okay. So you have to be patient, willing to maybe not start off at a crazy high number, because you're not going to list it like for instance, my neighbor was earlier this year, she listed her house for an obscene number, and she was actually licensed, so I wasn't the one that listed it, just so you know. And even her broker, she told me, she goes, man, my broker told me, like, you're crazy for listing it for that. And it sold for $100,000 over that list price, and that type of number for our neighborhood is crazy. So it was shocking. And of course, they were thrilled. They got a cash buyer for some crazy money. But then actually, I want to say they listed it for $500,000 and they got $600,000 cash for this house. And these are older homes. This is not, new and shiny and fancy. So anyway, so that's what they got. They were shocked. Okay, you're not going to see that anymore, but you just have to price it well, price it smart, and be willing to drop the price if needed. If you're not getting the showings and the attention that you think you should be getting, especially if there's good marketing, good photography and all that, like I would do. So anyway, so you just have to be, a little bit more patient buyers or sellers, and think about that. And then for buyers, the upside to all this is technically you probably shouldn't have to come in right at list price or over list price to be competitive, especially if a house has been on the market for a couple of weeks. The smart thing to do is to have your agent call the listing agent and just have a nice conversation and see what they can kind of figure out, so you have a good idea of what type of offer to write. So, the pricing of the house is still really, really important to price it well. And like even back here, sellers would say, well, I'm just going to list it for this number. And if people want to offer something low, just let them offer low. I don't mind. I would do that. But I will say that the mindset of buyers is a little bit different, where if they feel like a property's overpriced, they're just not going to do anything about it. Like I was even texting with a buyer last week that I've helped with other properties, and the seller had dropped the price a bit, and I pulled up some comps and I was texting with her. She's like, forget it. And I'm thinking, well, we just write an offer for $5,000 less, $10,000 less, whatever you'd like to do, because this was just a small condo. And she's like, nope, not bothering. And so that's just the mindset of the buyer. So sellers, be careful. Not to say that you couldn't get a lower offer, but that's where the buyers think too. So that tactic usually doesn't work, at least not right now. It could change in the future, but today that's how it is. All right, so here we are, the percent of the actual sales price in comparison to the list price. All right, so there we go. I hope that this has been a help to you. If you have any questions about what I've shared, or if you want copies of these, I can download these and email them to you. So you just have to reach out to me. Now, of course, I did not talk about the interest rates, and I've heard that they're going to come down a little bit, but this is not my area of expertise, and I'm not going to try to dive into that for you. So if you do have really specific questions about that, or if you want to talk to somebody who's way more knowledgeable than me, then just shoot me an email, and I'm going to send you the names of several lenders, local lenders who are solid. They know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. And I think that that could be a help to you. So if you need further information on that, then just, like I said, let me know, and I can hook you up with a couple of people in that area. Now, if you found value in this video, if you'd be so kind, hit the like button on the video, and then even better, if you could subscribe to my channel. That is a huge help to me. But really, in the end, I'm so grateful for you watching up to this point. And if you do have other questions, then don't be shy. Call, text, email me, fill out one of the forms down below in the description, whatever it takes, whatever you feel most comfortable doing to approach me, because then I can help answer questions and see if you coming here or maybe selling a property here is going to be a good move for you. Okay, like I said before, I do appreciate you watching. Have a great day. Happy 2023.